Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so we received this really fascinating query from one of you. Someone asked, what about Robert Crimo's Arcturus's manifesto? And, it makes sense. People want some kind of explanation, right? Some core document when these horrible things happen that just defy understanding.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And that's really the heart of the mystery here.
Yeah.
We did a really thorough check. Look at all the public records we could find, court documents, FBI stuff, police reports, solid journalism on the Highland Park shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And there is just zero mention, none whatsoever, of any manifesto or diary, anything significant, really, by Robert Crimo III that's called Arcturus.
So nothing.
Nothing. It's a phantom document, almost certainly, just digital misinformation that kind of spread online. Apocryphal lore, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so if Arcturus itself isn't real, then our job today, our mission, is sort of, well, it's to decode the whole situation, when you say. Like, figure out what Crimo's actual manifesto was, if you can even call it that, and maybe explore how these phantom clues pop up in the first place. What was his real message?
Yeah, that's the fascinating part. He didn't leave a traditional text, like pages of writing. His manifesto, if you want to call it that, was more like this chaotic jumble of digital stuff thing. Violent music videos he made, really cryptic social media posts, even these crude animations showing murder.
Wow.
Yeah. He had this whole online alter ego, Awake the Rapper, apparently since he was like 11.
Yeah.
And his content was just soaked in disturbing images. It wasn't just random uploads either. He was actively building what some experts call a violent personal brand.
A brand. So he wasn't just like randomly posting. He was curating it.
Meticulously. Yeah. Multiple accounts. Blogs to index his own stuff. He even labeled videos as part of a Robert Crimo archive.
Yeah.
It really does sound like someone trying to, curate their own infamy before the fact.
And there was that track, Are You Awake? Right? Released just months before the shooting. He included that voiceover. What was it? Like a sleepwalker, I am unable to stop and think.
My actions will be valiant, and my thought is unnecessary. I know what I have to do. Yeah, chilling stuff.
What does a statement like that even tell us? I mean, from a threat assessment view.
Well, that's a textbook example of what we call leakage.
Yeah.
It's a pretty direct communication of an intent to cause harm. It doesn't leave much room for doubt about his disturbing mindset at that point. And his actions, they really followed a pattern. Clear warning signs. April 2019, the police were called for a suicide attempt.
Okay.
Then just 5 months later, September 2019, a family member calls again. Crimo had threatened to kill everyone. Police actually removed knives from the house then.
Knives removed, threats to kill everyone. But despite these huge red flags, no clear and present danger report was filed by the police. How does that happen? What does that say about the system?
It's troubling. There are a couple of key reasons, it seems. First, Crimo denied he meant the threat when police questioned him. But maybe more importantly, the reports say no one, including family, was willing to move forward on a complaint.
So family cooperation was key.
It often is. Without that, law enforcement's ability to, formally intervene can be really limited. And then just 3 months after that, kill everyone threat.
Yeah.
His father's sponsored this application for a FOID card, a firearm owner's ID card, which you need in Illinois to legally own guns.
His father sponsored it after the threats.
Correct. And Crimo passed 4 background checks. He legally bought several firearms, including the rifle used in the massacre. It's just a devastating mix of personal issues and, frankly, systemic failures.
Unbelievable. So what was his ideology then? If it wasn't in a text, what drove him? Was it political?
Religious? Not in any traditional sense, no.
Yeah.
Experts looking at his online footprint describe it as this sort of 4chan bubble filled with ironic Nazi memes, anime, fascist-style music, mass shooter talk, but all sort of drenched in irony and sadness.
So not a clear ideology.
Not a clear political one. His affiliations, like showing up at a rally dressed as Where's Waldo, were seen as just trolling, provoking. It points towards something researchers call performative nihilism.
Performative nihilism.
Yeah, like a radical cynicism, where actions aren't driven by real belief, but are done purely to shock, to mock, maybe to just tear things down.
Yeah.
It's a really dangerous path to radicalization.
And his own symbols seemed part of that, right? The number 47 on his face, on his car, which he apparently said was 4 and 7 and reversed 7 and 4, July 4th.
Exactly. Tied directly to the date of the attack.
Or his rap name, Awake, claiming he did it to wake people up. It sounds like he was building his own personal myth, his brand, right up to the very end.
Pretty much. So, bringing it all together, the verdict on Arcturus is still crystal clear. That link between Crimo and some document called Arcturus. It's almost certainly a phantom, digital smoke, a
Uh,
distraction, really, from the actual chilling evidence of his behavior.
So, okay, what does all this mean for you listening right now?
I think it means we really need to shift focus, move beyond just hunting for keywords or these mythical manifestos. We need to look harder at the behavioral patterns, at the aestheticization of violence, how violence gets glamorized online, and importantly, this deliberate creation of violent personal brands, that performative nihilism we talked about. That's a serious, serious radicalization vector we need to understand better.
And the critical lesson seems to be that awful overlap, right? Personal pathology meeting systemic failure. It just highlights how urgently we need to connect the dots. Those documented red flags, the suicide attempt, the threats they need to be linked much more effectively to the mechanisms that control access to firearms, especially when things like family non-cooperation make it harder. So here's maybe a final thought for you to consider. In this world just overflowing with information and misinformation, how do we, as just, informed citizens, get better at telling the difference? How do we spot the real warning signs of violent intent and not get distracted by these phantom clues that seem so tantalizing but are ultimately empty? Something to think about.